Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WCA 2015 European Pro Qualifiers. We're about ready for some Hearthstone, and our two players are StanCifka from the Czech Republic and Kolento from the Ukraine. Yesterday they had some great matches, and we're ready for some more Hearthstone action. Let's start the match.
Oh man, I'm so excited to see Kolento versus StanCifka. Those guys are great Hearthstone players. They both won a DreamHack. Kolento won DreamHack Winter, and StanCifka won a DreamHack Booker's Tavern Tales. So, you know, they have a lot of wins under their belt, where Kolento is in Hearthstone from the very beginning, where StanCifka is kind of like a newcomer. He was playing Magic before, poker, and chess as well. And he's new to Hearthstone, in a sense that he started recently, but he already is winning a lot.
No, StanCifka is really starting to prove himself as a player. In this event as well, yesterday he took a win over Ties, very close game. And Kolento actually lost, which is, he had life coach, you know, both world-class players had a really hard matchup. So this game is actually really important for both players. Kolento, if he loses this game, he is going to be moving to the lower bracket. Somewhere we wouldn't expect to see Kolento, some of his caliber, and StanCifka, if he wins, who we consider the underdog, but he's not really. He is a very talented player. He's going to be able to guarantee his spot to China. So a very intense match, just like our first game this morning.
Okay, and the game number one is starting right now. We can see Kolento selecting his Rogue versus StanCifka, Warlock, Zoo. We've seen those decks before, we've seen them yesterday, but you know, I'm still surprised by the lineups because Kolento brought a Rogue and Cifka brought a Paladin, and no Patron for Cifka.
Yeah, he's very brave. Patron's such a powerful deck in the meta right now. You kind of expect in all lineups, especially with Warrior. Warrior's just always in the lineup. Warrior, Hunter, and Warlock are very powerful. He left out the Patron and brought mid Paladin, a deck that's fallen off so much recently. Aggro Paladin really picking up in the BlackRock meta recently, but he's just surprising us. Like I didn't expect it.
Well, I did expect StanCifka bringing a banana, and he's actually eating one right now, so that's pretty cute. He's always staying nourished during the games. He wants to drink water, stay hydrated. But let's analyze the hands. So, Rogue versus Zoo. What do you think about the matchup overall?
So this can go either way. It very much depends on what the Rogue gets to deal with the board early. Blade Flurry is a big part of it. Deadly Poison, start dealing with the minions. Backstab is definitely going to help out. And Violet Teacher will create some tokens so we can start trading, but the Zoo at the moment with Mal'Ganis and Voidcaller can really swing out of control with those heavy hitting minions come down really early. So it's very much about momentum. Kolento's going to have to react a lot at first, but then he can start building his own board.
Definitely, and StanCifka picking up the Ruben Egg is also nice on turn 3, especially because he will be just curving into the Voidcaller and Mal'Ganis, so as long as he doesn't pick up a small demon like a Voidwalker or even like in Gangboss, that Mal'Ganis is being dropped on the board. On the other hand, Kolento, he has a much better hand than yesterday.
Oh yeah, those backstabs actually cost him the game yesterday against Life Coach's final match, and I guess he's happy to see them now because they really help in this matchup, but if you look at the players, like Kolento's very composed here, the StanCifka's really kind of working hard, you know, kind of trying to figure out stuff. He had a bad run with this Warlock deck in the first 2 games against Ties, so he probably doesn't want to repeat it yesterday.
I was talking to Kolento before the match, and he said that the strategy for this matchup, like playing as a Rogue, will be to keep double sprint in his hand so that he can maybe draw into minions. So if you guys missed yesterday's match, Kolento basically had Omni spells. He had a great matchup versus Life Coach, and he lost in the end because he just didn't try anything. Right now he has minions, which is great for the Rogue. He will be able to keep the tempo, just having minions attacking and always keeping something on board, being the one being aggressive.
Yeah, this Violet Teacher is going to be excellent for him when it starts to get going, because it just creates small little tokens that can start trading, start contesting board. I mean, the Warlock is all about board control, and having the ability to spawn tokens with your spells is just excellent. He finds an SI7 now, so it's going to give him more options to deal with these minions. Ruby Egg's a bit annoying because you kind of want to sap it maybe, or have a response. Eviscerate, definitely a good card to deal with that. But Voidcaller is the big question mark here for Kolento. What will that bring down? Yeah,
the big question mark is actually, do you kill it now or do you wait? Because your opponent has 4 cards in hand. He played Voidcaller having a demon. So maybe you will want to just wait for him to draw something bad. But on the other hand, on turn 5, if you draw into a small demon, you will be able to play it and increase the value of the Void Caller. Kolento decides to kill the egg, use the Eviscerate as well, to just limit the board and get his board bigger and bigger. And one of the cards that this Warlock build is missing is an AoE. There is only Implosion with Juggler to create a kind of AoE-ish effect where you just throw the daggers, but other than that, you don't have the Shadow Flame, you don't have the Hellfire. So if Kolento is able to build up a big board, Stanislav might be in trouble.
Yeah, they're very much relying on the early minions to keep the pressure and deal with stuff like Violet Teacher. And this is an excellent play for Kolento. But now StanCifka, he's got some good choices here. If he's able to play this Imp Gang boss, this Void Caller might bring a Doomguard, which will trade into the Violet Teacher, start fighting back for board, or a Mal'Ganis. I think Mal'Ganis would probably be a little bit weaker here because you want the immediate effect of the Doomguard's charge to start dealing with the board. We'll have to see what he does here. It looks like going for this Silence. That's a really good play as well.
Yeah.
Get some Mal'Ganis.
It's actually amazing. Like, he had that Silence to deal with it and get Mal'Ganis as well. Now he will be able to play a Doomguard. If Mal'Ganis somehow stays alive, Doomguard will be buffed as well. So that was the perfect lineup for Stanislav.
Yeah, if he had got the Doomguard, it would have been better because he would be able to deal with the Violet Teacher immediately, just leaving 2/1/1s on the board. But Mal'Ganis is still a very powerful card, and Kolento's going to have to find an answer to deal with this. Because this buffed Imp and the Doomguard to follow up is going to be a nightmare.
So what can Kolento do? It's turn 5. He just has 6 power on board. He can't kill Mal'Ganis with SI7 and trading minions in.
Looks like it has to be that, so he's going to be able to deal with the Mal'Ganis, but you've got a Doomguard to follow up, potentially, depending on what StanCifka draws. If he draws another valuable card, he might opt not to use the Doomguard straight away, but, you know, Kolento had a good response to this board. It was quite a good play from StanCifka, being able to deal with most of it, but Kolento responds in good fashion.
Yeah, definitely. On the other hand, for Stanislav, he still has good options this turn, just playing a Juggler and Hunting Creeper. If Hunting Creeper gets killed, he'll be able to play Defender of Argus. He can wait with the Doomguard, definitely. This turn, he didn't have a space to play the Doomguard. 6 mana, just always good to tap and have some cards. He has to expect Rogue having Sprint on 7, so he knows that Sprint is not being played next turn. Next turn, Kolento is still going to play some minions or some spells. So he just needs to fight for the board. It is the board battle, and whoever is going to take it will have an edge.
And these cards interact really well with Juggler. The Imp Gang boss will spawn another 1/1, which will throw another knife. When the Haunted Creeper gets popped, they'll throw 2 knives. So Knife Juggler is going to do a lot of work here. And he's probably going to decide what he wants to do here. He can trade into this SI7, and then the dagger could hit the Thalnos, and he gets a perfect board clear.
Also very good positioning from StanCifka, just putting the Juggler on the left and Imp on the right, so that Imps they spawn on the right, and then he will be able to freely decide where he wants to play Defender of Argus next turn.
Kolento finds that Farseer. Anti-Killbot is another card that Rogues have been using since its release, and some Rogues are playing just 2 Farseer for early tempo, early board contesting, but Anti-Killbot has a bigger swing against some decks, say like Hunter. But Kolento, he's got some decisions here. He has to deal with this board, and he doesn't have an answer immediately for everything.
He needs cards. He basically needs cards. He can draw 2 cards this turn with Azure Drake and attacking with Thalnos into a minion. So I think if he goes Azure Drake this turn first, just see what he can get. If he gets Fan of Knives here, that would be a good card.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for a Fan of Knives here. If he went into one of the 1 health minions, he probably was just looking for maybe a backstab or something, but Fan of Knives was definitely the card he was hunting for there. He didn't find it. Does get to clear the Knife Juggler with his weapon, so these minions become a little bit less threatening because there's no knife flying around the place and dealing with your minions.
That's certainly true. Oh, Abusive Sergeant. Excellent on curve, like you will be able to buff the Imp, kill the 3/3, and then you can still play Defender of Argus, which not only buffs your minions so that you can deal more damage, it protects you from damage taken, and Imp Gang boss effect is better now as well because it can spawn another Imp if there is no 2 points of damage killing it.
He's going to have to use spells or maybe his own minions, which he doesn't have any at the moment, to deal with these taunted creatures. and it does protect him from a weapon going face, like a tinkered weapon, but it's still vulnerable to Blade Flurry and stuff, but it doesn't matter. He's creating a very strong board, a very threatening board, but also a very defensive one as well.
So Kolento had to spend his whole turn to draw cards. This is really close to lethal. I think StanCifka is actually 1 damage off. He has 9 points of damage on the board and 9 points of damage in hand. Just putting Rogue to 1 is still such a massive blow.
He also gets the tap as well. Actually, a big game hunter. Interesting.
I don't think if it matters that much. Kolento will have to build a big knife and then clear everything. And also the spiders that spawn from both the Hunter Creeper and an imp from Imp Gang Boss.
I was just more thinking about Big Game Hunter as included in the deck, because the deck list can be quite tight with Bane of Dooms and Sea Giants and all sorts of stuff being put in there. But we've seen Big Game Hunter get a lot of work these few days. You can use Abusive Sergeant to buff a creature to Big Game Hunter it, so it's an interesting point.
It is an excellent deck choice for this current meta game. Like, you can kill big Frothlings, there is a Handlock running around, even Zoo is playing Giant sometimes.
Alright, Kolento's going to have to find an answer here. Use it to Blade Flurry. Still gets the 1/1s though.
You will be able to clear the board with Fan of Knives, so that's something, and then finish the Doomguard with Eviscerate. But he's still at 1 health and no heal.
Oh, Dr. Boom, wow.
Goodness, Dr. Boom is an amazing card. How do you deal with the bombs not killing you? Not to mention, it's a 7/7.
I don't know. I don't think he can find an answer. But this is Kolento. Kolento's capable of anything, really. He could tap here if he's got another Doomguard. Find the Doomguard for the lethal, but he's probably trying to work out how much Kolento can actually do to him, because this Rogue has a lot of burst if it's got the Tinkers and the Southsea deckhand. But he just plays the Dr. Boom, taps, doesn't find the Doomguard, and Kolento's going to have to find a way to deal with this.
Yeah, this is a good example of how threatening Rogue is with so many cards in hand, and StanCifka respects that, but he did count it, and he knows that he can life tap. But Kolento, I don't think there is anything he can do here. Those bombs are going to threaten to kill this turn if he wants to clear. Can he even clear Dr. Boom?
I don't think he can. Even if he's to find a way to Blade Flurry, he probably wouldn't have enough minions to soak up the bombs, so... Is he going to go for... It looks like he's going to see if this Shredder drops anything.
If the Shredder drops... The Shredder, like Kolento's is dead, I think. Well, now we know. But if the Shredder would drop a minion, still the death rattle from the bomb, I think, triggers first, so that the bomb lands basically on the face. There was a possibility if the bombs would actually land on Shredder, like 2 bombs and not killing the Shredder. So that's it. StanCifka takes game number 1 versus Kolento with his Zoo. He struggled with Zoo before, but now he has it. He took it, and Kolento is struggling with Rogue.
Yeah, Kolento had a big struggle with Rogue yesterday against Life Coach. And StanCifka, like you said, he's got that win with that Zoo now. So I think that's a little bit of pressure off him, because yesterday he lost 2 games to ties, and he managed to bring the series back 3-2. But it must have really affected his mentality at the time. So he's got that deck out of the way now. He can now focus on the other decks, which he had a lot of success with. So StanCifka is probably feeling really good right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. And StanCifka won the game yesterday, so if he wins right now, he will be at 2-0. So same as Life Coach, just winning 2 games, and we'll have double 2-0s, and we'll have double 0-2s, which will more or less bring us closer to the upper and lower bracket.
Yeah, and if you're in the upper bracket, you're pretty much guaranteed to go to China. It's all playing for the money then. But if you're in the lower bracket, you're closer to losing everything. You don't win any money or the trip to China if you do come 4th in this event. So none of these players want that. They are all very competitive. They're all very hungry for the win. So it'd be very disappointing for any of these players if they were to fall out and not get their trip to China.
Absolutely. All right, game 2 is ready, and the players are swinging the cards right now. This is Hunter versus Warrior. Kolento bringing the Grim Patron, a nice combo deck, where StanCifka will be trying to counter that with his... Well, this seems like a mid-range counter with the Handmaster and Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, all the other players have brought faster variations of Hunter, using Lepinomes, Explosive Trap from Ties earlier. But StanCifka's just going with the classic mid-range, Hindmasters, Dr. Boom, Sludge Belchers as well. That's a card that hasn't found its way into Hunter much recently because of the faster version, so he must be just more comfortable with this variation.
I think here, this is a very difficult decision, by the way. Do you go face or do you kill the ghoul? Because if you kill the ghoul, you're weak to whirlwind. But if you go to face, the ghoul is just going to contest the owl. So what do you think? Do you attack face or do you kill the ghoul here?
He has an animal companion to follow up next turn, so he still has a target for his Hindmaster, but he needs to... That animal companion could be dealt with, so he needs to figure out how much he values Hindmaster in either the owl or the animal companion. So this is what he's trying to consider here. I think there is some value to keeping this owl alive, just because you give an extra chance of getting a Hindmaster on top of one of these beast cards.
Yeah, but what a painful decision. I definitely don't want to see the whirlwind this turn. Kolento doesn't have it, he just follows up with Armorsmith. Like, overall, I think this matchup is favoring Hunter, especially looking at Stanislav's hand, where he has the curve, has that companion into Hindmaster, Sludge Belcher, and also has some burst. So if you set up a board, this matchup is really tricky. Like, late game, you don't want to have minions which have 2 attack, 1 attack, because Grim Patron Warrior can use them to spawn more patrons. But if you set up a big taunt, then the patron might struggle, and versus Hunter, a patron needs to use those small cards like Armorsmith. Even with the weapons, he will be able to kill Misha, but he's taking 4 damage while doing so.
Yeah, you don't want to take... Hunter is one of those faster decks. It's going to take you out really quickly, and especially if the Hunter gets a lot of early momentum. Misha was actually probably not the best pick here because of Death Spite's just so common on 4. And actually, Kolento goes for the Knife Juggler here instead of the Beast, so Hindmaster's actually going to be able to be played here if he wants. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think like you can't always play around Hindmaster, and when you see the Juggler is presenting more damage than just an Iron Beak. So Juggler itself on board was a better target if you don't think about Hindmaster. But we can see Hindmaster right here creating a fearsome beast out of this owl.
Yeah, this owl just started off small, but now he's big and he's going to be challenging. He's going to just go for face here, so playing a more aggressive style here, which is, he's got a kill command, he's got an Eaglehorn bow, he has another owl as well, so 2 owls in the deck. That's really interesting. So probably trying to kill him as quickly as possible for these patrons start flying around and creating nonsense as they do.
That's absolutely true. Kolento trying to go for some draws, picks up Slam. He will be able to finish off the 4-3 with the Armorsmith. Oh, actually, that was just a weapon attack.
He's getting low. He's on 13 health, and StanCifka has a lot of burst in his hand.
Yeah, StanCifka, for him, it's an easy game right now. Just play minions, deal some damage, and push forward as much as possible. Kolento needs a setup. He just has 1 whirlwind effect in hand, which is a Death Spite. Can he deal with the Sludge Belcher?
Sludge Belcher is an awkward card for him because he just used this Death Spite Death Rattle to clear, and that does 5 damage to a minion. And it's really hard for Warrior sometimes without using another card with Death Spite to deal with the Sludge Belcher. And it does spawn the token as well. The token actually can be a downfall later on because it spawns more patrons, but right now Kolento, this is a bit of a nuisance for him.
It is. Like, he might be forced to play Death Spite and Unstable Ghoul, because then if he attacks, he sets up Death Spite for the next turn, and whatever happens, this Belcher is going to die to Unstable Ghoul exploding.
But he needs to protect his health as well.
If, on one hand, yes. On the other hand, there will be an Eaglehorn bow, so...
He actually decides to fish for some more cards here. So he's got 2 more mana to do some stuff with. He could Fiery War Axe, but it doesn't seem that great. Probably just play the Ghoul here, or the Armorsmith. And he looks like he's hovering over the Armorsmith, so not protecting his life total with any taunts, but Armorsmith, if there's any AoE effects, will give him some armor.
Armorsmith is definitely decent, but we know that Stanislav has Iron Big Owl in his hand. Getting Leok here, not great. It's probably the worst target possible. He will be happy with the Huffer. He just wants to go face and deal as much damage as possible.
I really like this Owl play. He's making sure like Kolento can't build any more health. Unlike Control Warrior, which they have shield blocks and shield maidens, Patron doesn't run that sort of stuff. They do much rely on their hero power.
Shield block.
Talking about shield block, some Patron players do run it, sometimes even without shield slam, just to gain some more life against more aggressive decks. But yeah, that's a pretty good pickup for Kolento. It'll help him sustain a little bit, but it might not matter. StanCifka's got so much burst in hand.
Yeah, there's at least 8 points of damage coming from Stanislav with the kill command and Eagle Horn Bow. Kolento really needed the Armor Smith to produce some health, but the silence was deadly. And, well, you are not playing around the second Iron Begal. The choice to play 2 Owls is also interesting in Stanislav's deck.
It's more reserved for aggressive style decks who run 2 Owls, because they just need to silence maybe 1 or 2 Taunters so they can push for more damage on the face. But mid-range Hunter, or this variation, generally doesn't run 2, it just runs the 1. StanCifka, surprising us with the second one, and it paid off, is stopping Kolento building health.
Certainly. Lothab is an amazing card. He will be able to stop Kolento from playing spells, and Kolento definitely needs to have a good sequencing of spells to be able to get out of it. Kolento he did pick up some options after the Battle Rage, so he will have the War Song, he has Unstable, but will this be enough without Armor Smith to actually clear the board and sustain himself? Because there is 8 damage coming next turn.
Oh, he finds the Execute as well. And the Lothab's just locking that card out. He can still play it, but the 6 mana, it's a rough turn for Kolento. He needs to find a way to sustain here, but I don't know if he can. There's just too many threats on board and too much burst in StanCifka's hand.
Yeah, Kolento doesn't know exactly what StanCifka has in hand, but from our perspective, Kolento needs to clear the board and armor up to stay alive for 1 more turn. But if he does that, he just stays alive for 1 more turn, he's nowhere closer to win the match.
Yeah, he's just playing defensive, and it's just, he's not building any momentum or building up to a game plan where he wins. He's just trying to sustain, and the problem with Patron, it needs to take the initiative most of the time, especially around turn 8. This is a turn when Patrons start coming out, or next turn with a Whirlwind, and he's just never had an opportunity to set up anything, because StanCifka's always been 1 step ahead of him with his plays and his cards.
So let's imagine that Stan has double Web Spinner and Hunted Creeper in hand. What would be the Kolento's play?
Oh, well.
Concede.
Concede, it seems. So 2-0.
2-0. Stanislav takes the second game. Really well played. And that was a tough matchup for Kolento. Right now, he needs to win 3 games, and Stan just needs 1. He just needs a win with a Paladin. But Paladin is very interesting because it has a bad matchup versus Patron. It has a bad matchup versus Rogue. And what's the last deck for Kolento?
And Hunter as well.
Yeah, so it seems like Paladin, if I would pick any deck from Stanislav's lineup that can 0-3, that would be the Paladin.
Yeah, we actually almost saw it lose to ties in the last game. But he played so well with that Blessing of Kings, if I remember rightly, going face, knowing that the Paladin doesn't have the reach to close at the game sometimes. And it was very close. It was very close. He fought really hard, and he deserved the win, I think, StanCifka, with that mid-range Paladin. Because we were surprised. We were expecting aggro Paladin, if anything, because that deck's quite popular right now. But he opted for the mid-range Paladin. I'm actually going to ask him about that deck later, because I'm curious to why he picked it.
I just look at Kolento, and Kolento looked to the right, and it seemed like he is, I cornered him. He has to play Paladin now. I can win.
And if anyone can do it, it's Kolento. He's the type of player who can come back from 2-0 down. But we've seen StanCifka do it as well. He was 2-0 down to ties yesterday, and he came back as well. So Kolento picking his Rogue first. This is an excellent matchup for the Rogue. It's very hard for the Paladin to deal with the burst damage, the AoE clear. And Paladin generally doesn't have much reach when it comes to finishing someone off. They rely on board. They don't have a lot of burst. Consecrate does 2. True Silver for 4. It's not a lot of range there.
It certainly is if the game is slow and if Paladin ends up playing Tyrion and you have the Sap as a rogue. But the hand that StanCifka got is one of the best hands I've seen in years.
That is just, he's just got a curve, he's got everything.
He got everything. Maybe you want Juggler, but seriously, just starting with Zombie Chow into Minibot and Master for Battle and Coin Quartermaster, if he is able to get that and set up that board, he's going to win before Rogue can do anything. And he also got the Acidic Swamp Ooze to just deal with the weapons. So what can Kolento really do? How can he pressure that? Kolento has the AoE.
Yeah, he does have the Blade Flurry, but it's the Swamp Ooze which is the big problem here, because now Stan can choose, when he sees that Deadly Poison come down, he can go, right, I'm not going to let you clear my board, because you need that clear, or I'm just going to overwhelm you, and then he can control how Kolento plays. So it'd be interesting to see at what point he does it. So if he he's going to play Minibar, he plays Master, and then he can coin Quartermaster. But if Kolento shows the Deadly Poison too early, he might not coin Quartermaster. He might just ooze it, and then turn 5, all hell's going to break loose.
The next turn will be the key turn for Kolento. Depending on what he does, this might decide the match. Stanislav also picked Lotheb. If he goes for the Quartermaster on 4, then Lotheb just seals the game on 5.
So any chance of clearing with spells is just locked out by Lotheb. So he has the Ooze to lock out the weapon, so the first AoE attempt, and then Lotheb to lock out the second AoE attempt. So his hand is just fantastic.
Right now, because he has such an aggressive hand, he's thinking if Acidic Ooze is the play, because if he destroys the weapon, he will be the one being aggressive, and he will deal a lot of damage just getting into that Master of Battle. But Shieldbot is always great, and with Acidic Ooze, you probably want to keep it when the weapon is buffed.
Yeah, when it's been buffed by Tinkers or Deadly Poison, and Deadly Poison does clear his board really nicely, well, most of his board at least, when the Quartermaster comes down, so it's definitely worth keeping hold of. So 3 health coming in, that's not much, he's just playing contest the Zombie Chow here. Shielded Minibot is just a nuisance, isn't it? That shield is
it contests the shield and the Zombie Chow as well, whoa, there is a Blessing of Kings, so if he wants to go the different route, not like Master for Battle and buff the minions, he can actually use Blessing on the 2-2. But on the other hand, like what I would like to do, I think Master provides him with an option to just kill the 3-3 with Zombie Chow and weapon attack. He's not really concerned about his health pool, and just use Shield Minibot to start pressuring.
The thing with Muster here, I like he's kept the shield as well to protect it. It's going to force Kolento to pop the shield first before he can clear. So Kolento now has an opportunity to predict a Quartermaster because he knows he has the coin and he could flurry now. Maybe not even use a Deadly Poison if he doesn't want to. And that will kind of mess up his plan. But we still see a Blessing of Kings there. So that's an excellent card for him to play soon. And the Lotheb and the Ooze. So he still has options even if the plan of the Muster Quartermaster doesn't happen.
Yeah. Even though Stanislav's hand looked amazing, we still have to remind everyone watching that this is a very bad matchup for Paladin. So Stanislav is distressed, and Kolento has an upper hand with regards to what cards he has in the deck, because the cards that he might draw would almost always be great.
And the one thing with Paladin is they use board to fight their battle, and if Rogue can clear the board and start building pressure of its own, it can be very hard for Paladin to come back because of saps, eviscerates, and all that sort of stuff, and the burst as well. And they don't draw cards very efficiently either. They rely on Lay on Hands, which is an 8-mana card draw, so they have to wait till later, and the Rogue can beat you by then, so it's a very tough matchup.
Yeah, but looking even at the hand, right, there is a Blessing of Kings, and if you use Blessing of Kings, there can be a sap, or there can be an Eviscerate that can deal with this. So from Stanislav's perspective, it doesn't look that great, and with no dudes on board, like no recruits, Quartermaster is not that great. It's just 2/5 for 5 mana.
So he actually destroys the weapon here, putting some pressure on. So he pressures the board, he removes the weapon, so he has to pay 2 more mana to set up any more weapon at play. So he does make his mana efficiency a bit worse off. But Kolento can still come back. This is Rogue against Paladin. It's such a tough match.
I like the play from Stanislav because he forced 1 flurry. So right now he wants to just ask the question if there is another AoE for Kolento. If there is not, he will be able to deal more damage. So it's more likely that Kolento actually has a sap. So a single target with Blessing of Kings can be just dealt with easily. When you just play a lot of those small minions, the damage stacks. Like they just deal a lot of damage if you are not able to deal with all of them at one time.
If Kolento had access to a Fan of Knives here, it would have been excellent because he could clear the board. But as you can see, he's having to do... Oh, he looks like he's going to charge. Is he going to hit the Ooze? So yeah, he had to use... That's one of Rogue's really reliable burst options, because not only does it set up a combo to activate Tinkers, they can deal a lot of damage with that card, and he's had to get rid of it, and he has to eviscerate a 2/1. So Kolento's playing very reactive here. He's just reacting to all the pressure Stan's playing, and the Paladin's going to take control.
Well, he's going to play Lotheb, and Kolento will probably be fine with that because he wants to cast Sprint on 7. So this turn, if he is just able to pick a minion, he gets a Pilot Shredder, which is much better than Farseer. And in a sense, it does contest Lotheb. Kolento is still at 21, so not in any danger of dying. And as you mentioned before, Paladin doesn't have Burst, even though we actually see Burst in his hand.
We did mention that yesterday about the lack of burst, but that Blessing of Kings actually gave him some burst in his game against Ties. So he does have more burst options than the more traditional mid-range Paladins had. Blessing of Kings become a bit more popular. But TrueSilver's a good play here. You get to clear up this Shredder, and the taunt comes down, he just has to clear it up. But not bad, he's still contesting board, he's doing what Paladin does best. Clearing the board, keeping his own board, and putting pressure on.
On the other hand, this gives Kolento a chance to just sprint. If he picks up a preparation, he'll be able to eviscerate Lothep as well. Is there a reason not to sprint here? Are you afraid of anything if you play like Deadly Poison?
No, I think sprint is definitely the play here. Like I said, finding that prep, he'll be able to regain board. He finds the prep as well.
He gets the prep and he gets a backstep as well. So now Kolento with a lot of cards. This turn is just a quick decision, but he will be fighting back. And if Rogue just continues drawing cards, those great cards in the matchup, whatever Stanislav plays, Rogue will be able to react. And this is exactly where Kolento wanted to be. That's why he was so reactive and just clearing the board to not give a Paladin a chance to burst him out. And
StanCifka's hand going forward here, it's looking a bit clunky. He has 2 Quartermasters with no muster, a big game Hunter sitting on its own. So with a board clear here now, he can't use Blessing of Kings attack unless he plays it on a minion that's just summoned, so he can't attack, and that's even more prone to sap.
Can you Blessing of Minions opposing minion and then BGH it?
I guess you could, right?
I don't remember if it's a friendly minion or not, but like that would be something really terrible to do.
Unless it's a desperation move, he just has to clear this minion and has to throw 7 mana at it to clear it. But he does find a Sylvanas that's a lot better than what he had in his hand originally. But if Kolento finds a Sap, that's 6 mana, gone down the drain. This is where the Rogue takes control.
I think it's just a Dude and Quartermaster. Because you have 2 of them, you want to use them. And it's 4/7 on board. So it's even more power than just a vanilla Sylvanas. And next turn you will be able to summon another Dude, another Quartermaster. But that's what Paladin does, like just tries to set up board, and Rogue is the best class to deal with the board on the opposing side.
Drake comes down, it's very vulnerable to the TrueSilver champion, but it does set up a nice backstab. Sap does find its way to his hand. Sap will probably be kept now, going into the later game for Tyrions and Sylvanas and stuff like that. So he will be able to clear up the 3/3 with the backstab, but this Quartermaster may stick around for a little bit.
I think he just he can play Farce here. You want to have the minion especially because he picked up so many buffs.
And having the minion on board is especially important for Rogue at this point in the game. If you look at his hand, he has the 2 Tinkers, he has the Deadly Poison. So Tinkers becomes more powerful if you have an active minion on your board and you buff them. And the Deadly Poisons are very good to activate for that. So Kolento will have burst potential going into the next few turns if he can maintain his board.
Yeah, I think Kolento is in a good shape. Oh, lay on hands for Stanislav.
So the game slowed down a little bit because Kolento had to react a lot. So this now makes lay on hands pretty cool. You know, he gets to draw some cards. He can heal as well. But it looks like he's going for the Blessing of Kings here, just for the clear. I like this actually. So he understands that Tinkers is a threat. And Tinkers is more of a threat if there's a minion on the other side of the board.
One of the best strategies to win versus Rogue is to never leave a minion on the Rogue side. Because Tinker is giving so much damage if they just combo it out and add +3 damage on the minion.
So he's got coin here. He could coin Dude here, and then he has a Quartermaster play for next turn. So maybe that's what he's considering here.
Yeah, I think it's fine to like just coin a Silverhand Recruit. He still has that 2nd Quartermaster.
I mean, what else would you use the coin on at this point?
If you lay on hands next turn, you can coin a 2-drop. If you get like a Shield Minibot or if you get Equality, but it doesn't seem viable, and you want to pressure Rogue as much as possible. You will not have that much time.
All right, so Kolento has to respond to it. The board again has been very much in StanCifka's favor mostly. We thought Kolento had stabilized to an extent, but StanCifka reacted really well and putting more pressure on Kolento here.
Kolento has a great turn anyway, because just a Sap on a 6/6. He might be afraid of Tyrion, but if he just uses Saps on a 6/6, he can play SI7 and just finish the token. Just drawing a card is fine. Like the key that he has to achieve here, the key thing that he needs to achieve is just stay with a minion on board and leave nothing, so that he can use those tinkers.
I can imagine SI will come down. Probably his biggest question is sapping this minion and Tyrion coming down. Stan doesn't actually have Tyrion just yet, but it's definitely something you have to keep in your mind as a rogue player, and especially if you have to use your sap on anything but Tyrion.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Tyrion would definitely ruin his day at this point if he does decide to sap and he does go for it. Like you said, he wants to keep this minion on board as long as possible, so next turn he can set up some crazy Tinkers plays.
I think he could also sub because he picked up Sprint. So even if Tyrion is being dropped, that's the whole turn. It's just a 6/6. You are 23. So you sprint, you draw 4 cards. You're closer to getting all the cards in your deck. So you'll get the second sub eventually.
So Stan could draw cards here. He could heal up, or he could play Sylvanas to contest this 3/3. But it's looking pretty tough for him because he can't deal with the minions. So he must be thinking about some Tinkers plays coming up very soon. See a Coghammer actually, that's interesting. I find the mid-range lists are quite tight usually. There's only like some wiggle room here and there, and it's usually left for stuff like a BGH or a Kezan. And he's actually got 2 Quartermasters, so for a while people were thinking 2 Quartermasters is too clunky, so they're dropping a Quartermaster, but he actually squeezes in a Coghammer as well.
Oh man, Kolento had so much damage, but he didn't have enough. I think he had 18 points of damage with just Deadly Poison. Oh, I guess he didn't have mana for all that, but still, amazing pool of damage. He didn't pick up anything great, actually. Just looking maybe for a second preparation, for a second flurry.
You know, he could actually just weapon here, I think, and set up something for next turn. But his minion probably won't stick around. Stan has a lot of weapons in hand to deal with this 3/3.
He might think about playing Falnas, actually.
Falnas would be good as well.
If there is a true silver, you will have a minion on board. But on the other hand, StanCifka is at 28. You just need to start dealing damage as well.
I think that's Kolento's idea here as well. He does use Deadly Poison and just swings to the face. So StanCifka's healed back up. So he needs to start chipping him down again to be ready to set up for that big burst combo.
So for StanCifka, it seems like a true silver because you need to kill the minion and then Juggler and Pilot to Shredder. Just to deal some damage, have the Juggler on board, and thread him. 7 damage with the weapon. Like, weapon will mostly be used to kill minions anyway.
The thing is, StanCifka is going to still need to do a lot of work with his board to be able to take out Kolento. So Kolento's still really healthy in this spot because, like we said earlier, Paladin doesn't have a lot of burst, so he's going to have to build board, and Kolento's going to react to the board, maybe clear it, and he's have to build his board again, and it's going to be kind of back and forward. Whereas Kolento, on the other hand, if he gets the right combination of cards, he'll just do crazy burst out of nowhere and take out the Paladin. So I would say Stan is almost on a clock until Kolento finds all the pieces he needs to just finish him off.
That's a very interesting situation. Kolento will need to set up a minion on the board to be able to use those Tinkers effectively, and he already used his deckhand, so he will not be able to use deckhand charge and deal a massive amount of damage. He would just need to set up something, but like, he doesn't really want to use the flurry. Right now I'm just looking at the board and I'm thinking maybe Falnos and Backstab, and then Fan of Knives, possibly to clear both minions. And I think you want to Sabotage as well to protect your Falnos.
Yeah, Sabotage is an interesting card. I don't see that very often, but Kolento seems to think that it can do some work here. Sabotage is going to come down, clears them, gets the combo, so it clears the minion and it clears the weapon. And we see Pagel again.
Yeah. Who got the Pagel last time? Was it also StanCifka?
I think it was Life Coach.
Life Coach,
yeah. He Savage Roared it. And he catches a fish, so he gets an extra card.
And he also has a way to deal with this Falnos easily because he has the third weapon. And if he would not be able to kill Falnos, Kolento has so much damage planned for him.
But look what he drew. He drew exactly what he lost on board. He drew a Knife Juggler and a Piloted Shredder.
That's right. It's just a replenish of the things.
So Kolento probably feeling pretty happy. He dealt with most of that board, and all of a sudden, they're back. He's got the second copies coming on board, and the knife actually misses the Foul Master here decides to go with the Cog Hammer and be able to a more safer way to clear this minion, and he gets the Divine Shield as well. Things looking excellent for Stan.
Yeah, Stan is actually setting up that board really well. Having a taunt with Divine Shield will be annoying, but Kolento picks some minions which are important as well. He still needs to fight back for the board, and those Tinkers they are useless for now.
This Nat Pagel's actually protected, so he's got not a reliable, but he's got a draw mechanic on board, which can help him find more options. So he did use his main draw mechanic earlier, playing on Lay on Hand, but now while this Nat Pagel sits there, he's got more potential to dig deeper into his deck and find more answers to what Kolento plays.
So Violet Teacher will be the card, followed by Buckstab, I believe, into the 3-2, SI7 as well. Oh, we can SI7. Basically, Juggler has to die. So just trying to get a couple of minions. And you know, this board is threatening, so if Stan doesn't pick up something like Consecration, he might be in trouble. He might not be able to clear all the minions. And we know that if any minion survives, those Tinkers will be very dangerous.
Mistress of Pain, okay. So these go into the 1-1s.
Oh, he picked up Consecration.
But he finds the Consecrate. So he can clear most of this board without equality. So you can clear the Violet Teacher, that's the biggest threat at least. He could use the Mistress and the weapon and then Consecrate, or he could equality if you...
Big question is, do you want to clear everything? Because you will not be able to clear everything if you don't use equality. If you use equality, can you still clear? No, this one minion is going to survive. With Consecration, attacking the 3-3, yeah, he has to equality Consecrate. He cannot have any minion on board at this point.
That's good, well played here from Stan. He knows the matchup. He's probably played plenty of Rogue himself, and all this game knowledge is paying off. And he knows that if he leaves anything alive, it's just going to be trouble. And Kolento again has to react to a board. It doesn't look very threatening, but he does have to use either resources, like he won't use his Blade for it, I don't think, but he...
No. Like Kolento can just attack face for free, leave him at 15, and then next turn he will be able to have 14 points of damage because he will have +6 to the weapon and can attack, well, 6, yeah. So 7 attack and then 30 to deal 14 points of damage. So he will be 1 off, and well, I think that's the plan. Basically attack with the weapon, refresh the weapon, power the Shredder, and just hope that you can sneak in just 1 more point of damage and that there is no taunt. Actually, you need 2 because the Demon is going to heal Stanislav for 1 at least.
And he's going to be able to deal the Power of the Shredder with the Cog Hammer.
Yeah, and there's always a threat of Tyrion just being dropped and blocking the attacks from the weapon. And
Healbot as well is another card mid-range Paladin tend to use, so that would be really annoying for Kolento as well. Puts him further out of range of finishing off his opponent, so something like a Healbot would be really good for Stan.
Kolento understands that he is in a really bad position here, so he needs to go for this and hope that there is nothing that Stanislav has, and he still needs to top deck something.
Aldor Peacekeeper.
Aldor Peacekeeper doesn't do it, so if Kolento gets a single SI7, or what else is like winning the game? If he gets a spell damage, if he gets an Azurjeg, it's not enough because the 1/1 is going to heal. He used double Eviscerate already. Double Deadly Poison.
He's used both. Yeah, a lot of its burst is gone.
If he's running Barber, that would be hilarious. Just buff the weapon and then that's 2 damage he needs.
I've actually seen some players run double Barber as well. Some of my teammates were running it. I'm pretty sure it was Mr. Yagoon who started making it popular. This Courtmaster's good, gets a clean check. A Nerubian Egg, that's awkward for Stan actually. Because
that's terrible for Stan. He needs to leave the minion and then Kolento has it. With the buff to an egg, he will be able to attack for 6, and that's so much damage. And we talked about this matchup, it looked weird for Kolento, it looked like he's losing, but right now with double Tinkers and Flurry, attack with an egg, he's going to take this game and stay alive in the series versus StanCifka.
That was a tough game for Kolento. He was really fighting hard to stay in the game, and the egg actually you could argue that the egg won him the game there.
I think he was still in an okay shape because with the Flurry, he would put Stanislav to 2 points of health and he clears the board. So eventually he can top deck something, but then like Tyrion seals the game. Stanislav still has a lot of means to just win. So yeah, I actually have to agree with you. Egg was winning the game for Kolento.
So a bit of RNG in Kolento's favor, but I think it was deserved. Kolento fought really hard. Stan had some excellent draws at the start, and they both played really well actually. They both were just fighting back and forth. And these are the type of games of Hearthstone I like to see. You know, back and forth and a lot of very skillful plays made.
For Kolento, it was exceptional.
Exceptional, oh man. Really?
I like it. All right, so Rogue finally took a game. And he still has his Hunter and he has his Green Patron. For game number 4, Kolento is going to queue the Patron.
This is a fantastic match for him. And he finds an Acolyte of Pain early as well, which is great for him. He's got some card draw. And StanCifka is going to have some work to do here because this deck is so explosive and so capable of things. It's unreal.
So the standard strategy for Stanislav and for anyone playing versus Patron is to pressure the Warrior. If he would have the same hand as he had last time, that would be a very good hand versus Patron. Just play those minions, sticky minions, deal damage, put Patron in an uncomfortable position where he has to clear, take a lot of damage. But this hand is not that great. I mean, he has Shredder, that's something. But with Zombie Chow, it's not that much pressure, and Kolento could just chill and try to draw cards. Yeah,
if he had his last hand, it would have been great. The coin is good for him, though. He can coin True Silver here, stop some card draw. He does have Shredder to follow up. Low Feb's just been picked up as well, so the curve is actually starting to come together, which is Sylvanas as well. So it's looking okay now. He's drawn into some options. As for Kolento, he finds a Deathbite again. Very important card in this matchup.
Yeah, actually Stanislav has a great curve, as you said, but and Kolento has no draw. Like, he has Deathbite, so he may be... Oh, there is an Omnish Inventor, so that's okay.
He finds the card draw he needs.
He definitely can just play Nomish here.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need a Deathbite right now, right?
Yeah, you don't have a follow-up for Deathbite. Next turn is actually turn 4, so you're not expecting Belcher. He decides in the end to go with the Deathbite to start clearing.
Yeah, I would have liked Nomish here. Maybe eat the last charge of the True Silver Champion. And then he could play something a bit better. But then again, what does he have to follow up once the True Silver Champion deals with the event? He hasn't drawn anything.
Kolento is applying a very similar strategy to what he did versus Rogue, just using his cards to cut Paladin's wings and try to stop Paladin from having any pressure on board, which will mean that in the end Paladin will be reactive, just playing a minion and passing, where Kolento will have a chance to take the game, late game, with Patron.
And Kolento understands how slow Paladin is, and he's taking advantage of it. It's a very good strategy for him. And if we get to the Hunter game, it'll probably be a little bit different. It'll be a faster game, but with this situation, because he wants to build up his combo, get all the combo pieces, he can play as slow as he needs to, because this Paladin is not going to be that threatening until he draws something like Harry.
Yeah, this is a big card, and I'm not sure entirely if you want to play it right now, but overall it is a great card. So
I don't think Deathbite has enough pressure against StanCifka yet to warrant Harrison Jones, but that card will play a big role later on.
I think you actually can play him.
You think? Yeah?
Yeah, because this turn 6 for Kolento, and Stanislav didn't really have... Like, he had equality, but if Kolento would just, on turn 6, play Patron in Rage, attack with Deathbite, and follow up with Whirlwind, Stanislav will be in trouble to like clear all those Patrons. And with Harrison, he gives himself a big minion on board, and gives himself enough time to actually draw into those cards that he needs.
StanCifka has got a brilliant curve coming up. He's got Sylvanas, Lofeb, Dr. Boom, into lay on hands if he needs to. Whereas Kolento's kind of picked up the odd piece of his combo here, the War Song, the Frothe, and the Grim, but nothing early on to contest what StanCifka's throwing at him. So unlike the Rogue, where he had a lot of options to deal with StanCifka's stuff, here he's lacking a little bit. You can use his Slam to draw a card, but yeah, Stan's looking really good right now.
Well, Kolento has those options, like you said. He has the Slam, he has the Execute, probably just keeping Whirlwind, but he's really close to clearing everything.
What's this Shredder going to drop? We're going to see another Nat Pagel?
Maybe Loro Show? That's a 2-3 Crocolisk. So if Stanislav wants to play Sylvanas right now, that's super dangerous, just leaving Frauding Berserker. If he wants to deal with the Frauding Berserker, he will have a weird turn where he needs to play either Consecration or Quality.
I think Sylvanas is fine here. He's got 28 health. The Frovin is very threatening, like you said, but Sylvanas makes things a little awkward. He might need to use this Frovin alone to clear the Sylvanas if he doesn't find another way.
I think we're closer to the point of counting lethals.
You think? Oh yeah, that's true. He's almost there, actually.
There's Warsong and Frauding. So if he plays those two minions, Whirlwind gives +5 for one Frauding. So it's +10 from just Whirlwind. The total power, it will be 5 on board. So it's 15. And Inner Rage will be giving +4. So it's 19 points of damage for Kolento at this very moment.
That's just crazy. From hand as well. I mean, the Frovin's on board, but from hand is what creates that insane amount of damage. And I've seen Frovin Berserkers go up to 30, 40. It's ridiculous.
But he can't go with this right now because he doesn't have lethal. So another option is the Green Patron play where he just uses the Green Patron, then uses the Whirlwinds, or maybe Green Patron, even a Cruel Taskmaster. But then he knows that Sylvanas will be troublesome. So in the end, it is an awkward turn because you can't really kill Sylvanas without playing minions. So you might just close your eyes and go for face and hope there is no Consecration, no Equality.
And Kolento actually took his whole turn to figure that out, and it was right. He only made his decision right at the end when the rope was pinned down. So it just shows how tough this turn was for him. Oh wow!
And this situation is amazing for Stanislav because he has exactly what he needs to clear this board.
Clear the first patron board. I mean, we don't see a Warsong, but it's getting rid of 2 threats that Kolento have. One of the Frovin and one of the Grim Patron cards. So, yeah, it's excellent for him if he decides to go for it.
Kolento had to invest so much into this board. He played Whirlwind, he played Patron, he played Inner Rage. He only has 3 cards in hand and no way to draw anything else. So if Stanislav decides that he wants to clear this, he can just deal 2 damage to face as well and attack with Sylvanas. Sylvanas stays alive. So I think that's one of the most amazing turns he can get. And this might seal the game and then just follow up with Dr. Boom. This is a game-changing plan here.
Yeah, what can he do? And then he has Low-Fed straight after. So if Kolento was to find any spells to help deal with the onslaught of this Paladin, Low-Fed's just going to lock him out. So StanCifka's looking fantastic right now. He does have Cruel Taskmaster to deal with it, but again, the Paladin just takes another minion he can clear with Death Spite, but it just feels kind of weak to a Dr. Boom following up straight after, then a Low-Feb, and then a Pile to Tread is just looking so good for him.
So for Kolento, he might be forced to Death Spite Sylvanas, or Taskmaster Sylvanas, then attack her with the Death Spite. He still has a chance if he picks up a Patron next turn. Deathbite is actually a good pickup because that's a Whirlwind effect that he'll be able to use.
He's got to consider his health total as well. We did say Paladin does have a lot of burst, but he's getting low, and StanCifka's just going to have more minions to keep going. It seemed to be an issue here.
Sylvanas is so annoying. Like, normally after seeing Consecration Equality, maybe he could risk just playing Deathspite and then playing a Warsong. Oh man, if Sylvanas steals any of those, will he even have enough time to deal with the minion that gets stolen if it's Warsong?
Oh, he had enough time.
Wow, that was amazing. He actually got the best out of this deal. Just stealing the Taskmaster and just killing it on the same turn.
Yeah, and he traded really cleanly there. StanCifka actually finds a Sludge Belcher now. But Dr. Boom is going to come down, and now he has to deal with this. And once he deals with that, there's a lot of other things in his hand that's going to come down. And another weapon, he doesn't want to find that. Battle Rage would have been great for him there. Could have drawn some cards, but Fiery War Axe is not great.
Well, in theory, he can play Deathspite, go full face, and then play Fiery War Axe. Has the Whirlwind effect, kill the bombs. If the bombs don't kill the Frauding, that's some damage he is actually dealing.
So many variables there, so much RNG involved.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before, Kolento and Life Coach are very good at controlling the RNG of this game, which makes their play so good. And it's going to be tight. You might have to take a risk here.
But I'm just impressed by Stanislav, really. He's so consistent with his play. He just thinks about everything and predicts the stuff that Kolento can do. So Kolento in a dire situation. I don't think there is any play here that you are going to be happy with. There is no play like you do the play and they're like, well, I played that well. And Frodding is going to die. There's nothing for Kolento to take this game anymore. StanCifka is taking the series 3-1.
Well, that's incredible. StanCifka coming into this event as kind of, all the other players are really established. StanCifka's kind of building on his career now, and he's come to this event with 2 wins in the first 2 days, putting him in the winner's bracket for Saturday, and that is just so impressive from him, and he's played fantastically.
Yeah, that's really amazing. He's going to play one more match in the round-robin series. He played versus Kolento, he played versus Dice. He's going to face Life Coach, and oh man, I'm so excited to see that game, that match. Both Life Coach and StanCifka right now, they have a 2-0 score, so one of them is going to have a 3-0, one of them is going to lose to the other, but Kolento obviously not eliminated from the tournament as well. Even though he's 0-2, he's going to play one more game and then just end up in the lower bracket. But if he continues winning from there, he might still be our winner. But I'm really impressed by both players. StanCifka, you know, maybe the banana is the secret. Like, he's eating the bananas all the time, and it works.
Mukla's been giving him some tips. You know, those bananas +1/+1. Maybe he ate so much, it just made him super powerful, and now he's capable of anything. But yeah, StanCifka, very impressive. He has Life Coach tomorrow, right? So another excellent player. Getting a win against Life Coach as well, and Kolento in one tournament would be fantastic for him.
Yeah, I just want to hear from StanCifka what he thinks about the games, what he thinks about the matches. So let's talk to him.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations one more time, StanCifka, on that great victory. We had 2 solid games in the beginning. You had some great board control in game 1, and then Kolento conceded in game 2. But in game 3, it seemed that luck of the draw with that egg on the board kind of threw a wrench in your plans. What happened in that moment when you saw the egg?
Well, yeah, he probably wouldn't be able to kill me unless he dropped that 30 million, like Haunted Creeper or egg, and in that case I wasn't able to clear the board, and it got buffed by, what's the name? +3/+4. Yeah, I don't know. Poison or what is the other? Okay, and then I took damage and got a lethal. In case he wouldn't drop it, I probably would won because he's getting out of resources, and yeah, but it happened. Like I was very lucky that I got such a good curve like in this game, so I don't mind like losing with putting and throwing. It's not a big deal. So I was waiting for my chance, and it came up in the next game. So you have to count that sometimes RNG doesn't go in your favor, so you have to keep patient and playing, and it will work out at some point.
It's part of the game. It's part of the game. I want to talk about this Paladin deck because a lot of people are starting to raise their eyebrows going, why Paladin? Why use this type of deck in the meta now? And it's been working for you, not only in clearing the board, but also, you know, using Blessing of Kings on some of your minions and really putting pressure against them. What is it about this deck that you like to use, and what is it about this deck that speaks to you as a player?
Well, I brought this deck especially to this tournament because we are only 4 players here, so you kind of know each other, and I wanted to surprise the other players, and also it works very well against the Druid, and I also add some weapon destruction to have like playable matchup against patrons, so it's working well. Like, I'm glad it's working. Like, I was really afraid against Kolento because he doesn't have handlock, he doesn't have a Druid, so these are the best matchups, and they didn't show up. So I think tomorrow against Life Coach it could be very strong, while I'm glad that it worked out today as well.
All right, congratulations once again on your victory, and we'll see you tomorrow against Life Coach. And that does it for Hearthstone for today, but we still have 3 more matches of Heroes of the Storm. We're going to take a break, but stay tuned. The WCA 2015 European Pro Qualifiers continues after this.